To solve the problem of financial entropy, we do not look for a better stock pick, we look for a better architecture. We begin by constructing the Perpetual Growth Loop, a self-correcting system designed to function with minimal human intervention. The foundation of this architecture is the elimination of decision friction. In the traditional model of personal finance, a person receives their income and then decides how to allocate it. This manual intervention is a structural flaw. It invites the ego into the process, allowing for hesitation, greed, or the siren song of a market opportunity that is usually just noise disguised as insight. To achieve quiet wealth, we must automate the execution so that the wealth builds not by our brilliance, but by our absence. The first component of our 15-minute system is the high-yield vault. This is not merely a savings account. It is a psychological fortress. We maintain a liquid reserve that passes the survivability test. 6 months of existence funded and isolated from the volatility of the broader market. When the world enters a cycle of panic, the owner of the vault remains unmoved. There is a profound, tactile satisfaction in knowing that your survival is decoupled from the fluctuations of a red and green screen. This vault acts as a shock absorber for the soul, ensuring that no sudden repair or medical necessity can force us to liquidate our long-term assets at an inopportune time. From this base of security, we initiate the engine of the Perpetual Growth Loop, the automated ETF stream. We reject the vanity of active trading. We recognize that the market is not a sentient adversary to be outsmarted, but a systemic aggregate of global productivity. By utilizing broad market index funds, we are essentially betting on the continued ingenuity of the human race while paying a near-zero cost for the privilege. As we automate the monthly contribution to these ETFs, the friction of decision-making vanishes. On the first of every month, while the rest of the world is debating the latest headlines, our system silently executes a buy order. It does not care if the market is at an all-time high or a temporary low. It simply persists. This is the power of dollar-cost averaging when combined with a total lack of emotional involvement. The 15-minute ritual itself is a study in minimalist noir. It takes place once a month, perhaps on a quiet Sunday evening when the world has slowed its rotation. You open your ledger, a simple, elegant spreadsheet, or a clean digital interface, and you verify the flows. You are not managing money, you are auditing a machine. You check that the automated ETF stream has cleared. You confirm that the high-yield vault is at its prescribed level. You see the dividends being reinvested, a silent compounding that occurs while you sleep, read, or walk in the woods. There is no frantic checking of gains or losses because we understand that the value of the portfolio on any given Tuesday is irrelevant to its purpose in 10 years. This is the rejection of status signaling. The hype-driven world wants you to show your wealth through complexity and consumption. The efficient sage knows that the most sophisticated system is the one that is invisible. We prioritize frictionless execution over high-activity performance. In this 15-minute window, we may also prune the dead wood of our financial lives, the lingering subscriptions or the low utility expenses that have tried to creep into our ledger over the past 30 days. This is the ASMR of process, a rhythmic, calming maintenance that reinforces our autonomy. As we look at the data, we see the stark contrast between our system and the hustle culture alternative. The active trader spends 40 hours a week seeking an edge that rarely materializes after fees and taxes are accounted for. We spend 15 minutes a month maintaining a system that captures the average growth of the entire global economy. The delta between these two approaches is not just in the returns, it is in the life ROI. By choosing the 15-minute ritual, we are reclaiming nearly 160 hours of cognitive bandwidth every month. That is the time we reinvest into our health, our craft, and our relationships. We must also address the chemistry of burnout by decoupling our self-worth from our net worth. When the system is automated, the ego is removed from the equation. If the market dips, it is not a personal failure of our strategy. It is simply the systemic nature of the market. Because we have no skin in the game of active prediction, we suffer no emotional drawdown. We have replaced the hype of the gamble with the quiet of the protocol. The architecture is now complete. The vault is secure. The engine is running. The flows are automated. The 15-minute ritual is the only point of contact between the human and the capital. We have built a machine that converts time into money and then, more importantly, converts that money back into time. We are no longer laborers in the fields of finance. We are the architects of a self-sustaining ecosystem. As we close the ledger for the month, the silence that follows is the true sound of wealth. It is the absence of worry, the absence of noise, and the presence of total, unshakable financial dignity. With the architecture established, we move from the mechanics of the machine to the harvest of the system. In the world of hustle culture, the objective is always more. More assets, more accounts, more activity. In the ledger of the efficient sage, the objective is the reduction of the self. We seek the point where the system requires so little of us that our involvement becomes a choice, not a necessity. This is the economics of the void. The realization that the most profitable action we can take is often the $0 cost of doing absolutely nothing. While the rest of the world pays with their time, their cortisol, and their focus to chase a marginal alpha, we reclaim those hours as our primary dividend. This is the true definition of life ROI.
Vanish.
We do not measure our success solely by the compounding of our capital, but by the compounding of our freedom. When we automate the perpetual growth loop, we are not just buying index funds, we are buying Tuesday afternoons. We are purchasing the right to look at a calendar and see nothing but open space. The status signaling of the modern era prizes the busy professional, the one whose phone is a tether to 1,000 urgent crises. We reject this. We find our prestige in the silence of the notification bell. Consider the profound psychological shift that occurs when wealth becomes a background process. Financial dignity is the state of being where money no longer occupies the primary seat in your cognitive theater. It is the ability to walk through a city and see the treadmill trap of high-end consumption not as a goal, but as a distraction. Because our 15-minute ritual is frictionless, it leaves no residue of stress. We do not carry the market home with us. We do not discuss plays at the dinner table. We have mastered the art of being financially present while being mentally elsewhere. This ritual is the ultimate survivability test for our philosophy. If we can maintain our entire net worth in the span of a single coffee break once a month, we have achieved a level of systemic efficiency that no hustle can match. We have moved from artisan saving, where every penny is tracked with anxiety, to a modern, high-intellect autonomy. We recognize that the most sophisticated technology is the one that allows us to return to the simplest human experiences. The tactile satisfaction of a physical book, the unhurried pace of a long walk, the clarity of a mind that is not for sale. As we conclude this ritual, we recognize that the quiet wealth we have built is a shield against the volatility of the world. It is not just about the numbers in the vault. It is about the preservation of the self. By choosing minimalism in our systems, we have created an abundance of life. The 15-minute monthly ritual is our declaration of independence from the noise. We have designed a life where the capital serves the creator, and the creator is free to simply exist. Aired the system and reclaimed your life. The ledger is closed. Your freedom remains. The ritual is complete. As you step away from the ledger, feel the weight of complexity lift from your shoulders. True financial dignity is not found in the roar of the market, but in the quiet sovereignty of your own time. You have silenced the hype mast. The modern world treats the accumulation of wealth as a frantic race, a relentless hustle where survival depends on constant vigilance. In reality, this financial chaos is the primary symptom of the treadmill trap, an exhausting cycle that promises freedom while tightening the leash of complexity. Now, let us open the ledger, calibrate our systems, and begin the 15-minute ritual of financial autonomy. Consider the architecture of the average person's financial life. It is often a sprawling, accidental construction of high-friction accounts, forgotten subscriptions, and the psychological weight of 1,000 what-ifs. This is the cost of noise. We are conditioned by a hyper-stimulated market to believe that if we aren't actively monitoring, tweaking, or worrying about our capital, it is somehow at risk. This is the first lie of the hustle culture machine. It suggests that your time is a secondary asset to your money, when in truth, the only metric of true wealth is the sovereignty you maintain over your attention. Imagine a workspace at 4 p.m., the soft glow of a single monitor illuminating a desk devoid of clutter. There is no frantic scrolling, no secondary screens flashing red and green. There is only the calm realization that the work is already done. This is the goal of the efficient sage. When we analyze the physics of a portfolio through the lens of systems design, we encounter a force known as financial entropy. Without a rigid, automated framework, money has a natural tendency to dissipate into the cracks of modern life. It bleeds out through lifestyle creep, that silent expansion of costs that consumes your freedom under the guise of upgrading. It evaporates through the friction of decision-making. Every time a human being has to manually decide where to move $1,000, they are paying a cognitive tax. This is decision fatigue, the measurable decline in the quality of decisions made by an individual after a long sequence of decision-making. By the time the weekend arrives, the capacity to make a high-leverage choice is exhausted, leaving the individual vulnerable to impulsive consumption or paralyzed by the complexity of their own accounts. The hustle advocates for more effort. We advocate for more design. The treadmill trap is powered by the dopamine loop of status signaling, the urge to convert capital into visible markers of success. This process creates a high-entropy environment where the net worth might grow on paper, but the life ROI remains abysmal because the owner is a slave to the maintenance of the image. The psychological burden of managing a high-friction portfolio is akin to carrying a heavy stone uphill. Eventually, the fatigue causes the grip to slip, and the progress is lost to a market correction or a personal burnout. The chemistry of burnout is not just a workplace phenomenon, it is a financial one. It occurs when the complexity of one's financial existence exceeds their cognitive bandwidth. We see it in the professional who earns 6 figures but feels broke because their cash flow is a tangled web of manual transfers and high-interest liabilities. We see it in the amateur trader who stares at a glowing screen at 2 a.m., sacrificing sleep, the ultimate biological dividend, for the chance of a marginal gain that will likely be eroded by taxes and transaction fees. Our objective is to reverse this entropy, to move from the noise of the hustle into the silence of a system. We must apply the survivability test to every financial habit we possess. If you were to vanish for 3 months, would your net worth continue to build itself, or would it collapse into a pile of unpaid bills and stagnant cash? If the answer is collapse, you do not own a portfolio, you own a second job. To master the 15-minute monthly ritual is to accept that the most powerful move in the market is often the one that was programmed 6 months ago. It is the tactical rejection of the now in favor of the always. As we step away from the glare of the ticker tape and into the cool shadows of automated systems, we begin to understand that the ultimate high-intellect play is not picking the right stock, but designing the right life. We are not here to play the game. We are here to build the machine that plays it for us.